All right, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the 80/20 family. Or if you're not yet, we look forward to having you soon. I'm Chris Young. I'm going to cover the Disposition Portal or Listing Portal. We deploy for you your own branded, fully integrated Salesforce Experience Cloud platform that hosts your properties or listings for distribution and marketing. It's fully synchronized with your Salesforce data. It's extremely smooth and simple to sync data from the CRM. So your users work through their normal flow. They have a couple, maybe one pagers that they'll add some details to, and then it populates here for them. It can be a user specific site, it can be an agent specific site, it can be a team site, location based, kind of however you want. It can be templated and added for each user if you'd like, for their own listings, or for a company as a whole or a certain brand. It's really flexible, which is nice, and it's tied to your data. Back and forth, two ways. So I'm going to show you how to walk through some of the settings that are here. So in Experience Cloud, you have what we are in Experience Builder, what's called the Builder Workspace. You can get there. Let me actually just walk you to getting there. That's probably the first step. From the home page or anywhere, go to Setup. And then we can type in site, and you'll see this digital experiences all sites. You may have 1 or 20 or 150 or whatever, but in this case, we're working on this disposition portal. If I click builder, it's gonna pop it open in this new tab here, and then I can start working from there. All right, give me some release notes, that's great. And then I've got a few things that I'll walk through. So let me pop back over to the previous tab. Since it's a little bit of a heavy site, as most site builders are, which you've probably experienced. All right, so we've got our pages here, and you'll see these sub pages. Salesforce is pretty cool. If it's a specific object, it will give you some sub pages by default. You'll have the detail page, just like you have a record in Salesforce. You'll have the list page, just like a list view in Salesforce, and then the related list page. Now, you don't have to use all of these, and you probably won't, but you can. So just know that your data can be migrated over, and to some extent. There's of course licensing, and we deploy for you a public anonymous site that's fully accessible and no restrictions or limitations. They just users don't authenticate, don't log in to get to it, which you could turn that on and change that if you wanted to. So in this case, we use heavily this property transaction detail, because those transactions or listings, wholesales, etc., that's what publishes to the page. That's where we market to and send people to, is that page. But I'm going to start on the home page here. A couple of other things that you have. You've got the components available to you. We've built a bunch for you as well. So you've got the standard out of the box ones, which comes with calendar, CMS, a content management system. You can put blog posts and articles and things. It's originally was designed as like a knowledge center. It's expanded from there for sure. You've got HTML components, tabs and menus. If you want to put a chatter feed in there, file management. It does have gamification, so if you want to add badges and points and reputations and leaderboards, you can add in there. That in there, really useful if you're doing service-based things or a knowledge center to keep your users engaged. If you build a flow, you can publish flows here too. So custom forms and flows you can put in there. If you want to put in record details or lists, you've got that available to you. On the sales side, you may have a few different things. Not everyone will see all of the options. It depends on what type of site it is and what you have enabled in your platform. So you can enable additional items and have more show up there. Lead inbox on the sales side. Support cases and other things. Now topics, that's meant for, again, knowledge base. Keep track of the topics of the knowledge base. And then custom components. Most of these ones in the blue color, those are we've deployed most of those. We've got a few that may not have an icon on them, but a bunch of custom components available for you here. And we'll show you what a bunch of those are too. You can of course make your own components, LWCs or R components, and put them in here. The theme, this is your branding. So colors, right? General brand colors. You can generate that from an image. If you have a logo file you want to use, throw that in there and update that palette. I'll come in a second to these branding sets and CSS. You've got your images here. This is mainly your logo image. Not used in a ton of places. If it's you'll see it in a couple of spots. If it's an authenticated site, you'd have it on the login page or an additional login page image there. The font you'd like to use, so primary, header, and text. It tries to just keep the options relatively simple and apply it everywhere for you. Does a pretty good job with that. Oops. And then your theme settings. So each theme, so Salesforce has out of the box, just like Wix or WordPress, different templates or themes that you can apply. And not near as many at the moment. You can get more from the App Exchange though, which is a heads up. We've got 4 that we deploy for you essentially that felt like the cleanest. They have different options in here in these theme settings. So if you want to hide the header region completely, you can hide the header region and it will change on all the pages. That header will disappear. So it gives you some flexibility. Some of those things, fix the header. If you had a search box, user profiles, if it was an authenticated site, max page width, some of those basic things. Now, the next thing is that theme you can see is right here. We're using customer account portal. If I hit change theme, we'll see right away that there's a few here that are available. We have actually used Citizen and Ember and I think Jepsen and Cypress, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of pre-deployed those to some extent for you. Some of the other themes, if you load them, you may see that you'll have to move things around a little bit more, which you can do that, no problem. The branding sets, you can add, and let me just rename this one, for example. We deploy a standard branding set to get you started, and then we typically add an additional branding set, which would be your brand, your color scheme, your logos, and we do a bunch of other branding and things for you. You can actually change the brand that shows up based on an audience, if you had target audiences, so you can do a few different things there. I would typically you won't have to worry about something like that, but you can. And then you can apply as the default, if you had another branding set, you can say, hey, I want to use this one, and that way you can swap around colors, see how they look, make some changes without having to manually overdo them, which is kind of nice. The next thing, the page structure, this just lets you see on this specific page I'm looking at, I've got the template header, then I've got a profile menu, which we actually are not showing here because it's not an authenticated site, so there's no profile. The navigation menu, then a content section, footer, etc. So you can see that. And then there's settings. I won't go through all the settings. This is a public access site, which means it does not have to be authenticated to. This is a site title. We give it this title and we prefer to keep it there because we actually leverage that title in different places. So we look for that. But you can see we have overwritten the URL with a custom URL, in this case, properties.mosshomesolutions.com. That can be done. You can add as many different URLs if you want. And then you can see here we can change the preferred domain. Let's go ahead and use the preferred domain. And then there's more things here. Languages, SEO. If you'd like to set up some SEO, sitemap, you can also provide some tracking and analytics. Let's see, anything else? Here's your tags or G tags. Don't use UA tags, no longer available. And then some of the security, if you need to trust external sites because you're publishing content here. It does have some different protection settings on iframes. What can frame the site? Cross tracking, those sorts of things. So that's your content security policy is there. You've got some, again, trusted sites and settings for that. We kind of preset those for you to what they need primarily. And I think that's most of what I'm going to cover here. Feel free to ask any questions if you got it on them. The next thing is on this page. Let's go ahead and run through the page. In this case, we are going to throw on a new component. I'm going to grab what we call the web page header with logo and throw it up here just to show as an example. So here you can actually pick from different brands that we have in the CRM, and I'll show you those. We're going to grab this brand. I can show the logo or not show the logo, and this banner color that we see up top, we can change that banner color if we'd like. Let me go back to it. And the font color. if we want to change the font color. So let's see here. I'm going to go to my theme, my colors. I'm going to grab this guy. And I'm going to go ahead and put the font color there. And then we'll see that there. And of course, that could be changed. If we wanted a dark blue banner to make it show up, pop a little bit, we could do that instead. So we go back to the white. And let me grab my, do I have a dark blue? That looks like black. I think this is blue. We'll go ahead and just give it black for now. Okay, so that's how you would add that component as an example. This next one, navigation menu, this is managed by Salesforce. If you want to change, meaning kind of the look and feel to some extent, you can show the home link or not. And then if you want to change the items in that, you'll see this edit navigation. We deployed a navigation menu by default. The typical one, this one's been customized already. Typically, you'll also see locations. And we're gonna put this to a site page. And we're gonna go to location and make it publicly available. All right, and now I could also say, you know what, that should be before contact us, so let me drag that up. All right, so there's an example of moving that around and changing your menu. And again, if you had audiences, you could change what menus they see, what's there. The next component we have here is the hero form. And this has a slew of options. So you can change the heading, you can change the font color, the background color, or background image. You can show or hide first name, last name, email, phone. The reason we did that is so this could really be used as a form generically anywhere throughout the platform. Instead of just here on the homepage, you can move it around and hide and show different fields. If you wanted to add a comments box, you could add the comments box here. And then in this case, you can also, we do have on an acquisition site, if you want to use a address, kind of automated address tool, you can add that here too. So, you know, if you're just looking for them to submit their address, that can be used. That's available. And that does use Google encoding or geocoding, I believe. And then we have this create as a lead record. So in this case, if it's an investor portal and or acquisition portal, and I want to create a lead record from the submission, I can toggle this box on. If I just want it to search for contacts and accounts and update that or create a contact and account, if I leave this unchecked, it's gonna go ahead and do that instead. I can give it a different lead source too. So if I wanted to say, hey, this is not the website, if I wanted to say this is a disposition portal or a listing portal, or I wanted to give it a unique lead source, you can do that. And then this right here, this opt-in language, pretty much required across the board anymore for text messaging. If that's what you want to use it for, you don't have to have it. You could always just hide it all together. But if you have a text opt-in, you can change the heading here. And then you can also then change the button label down here of what this form is doing, like add to list or request info or however you want that to function or work. So that's the hero form, pretty flexible and customizable. The next component here is this property list. And this is your inventory, the properties that you want to be available here. You have a few options here too. So you can change the header title and font colors and background colors if I want to mix and match it. I can add the filters. So if you want people to be able to filter properties by location, bed, bath, etc. These filters, this component is on another page too. And so in this case, we don't hide it here or show it here. If you had lots of properties and you wanted to add pagination here, you can turn on pagination. The view all button here, that will just forward them to all the property inventory where they can filter and do additional searches. Again, the button name, the number of properties. If you've got 100 properties, you only want to show 9 or 15 or whatever of them. You can change how many you show. The location names. Now this is if you want this specific site. If you've got lots of locations, and maybe you're running separate models or different audiences completely. This would let you put in a list of location names, and it will only pull properties or transactions or listings that are in that location, right? So it will filter them out for you. A where clause also lets you essentially do something similar. You can say, only transactions where X, Y, and Z match these values. So it lets you filter out things, maybe certain listing statuses or transaction stage, those sorts of things. It gives you some more flexibility. And then a custom property URL. So if the page that it's forwarding to, if this property is not forwarding to the standard page, which 9 times out of 10 it's going to forward to the standard page. But if for some reason you wanted to morph this so that you had a custom page that you're using and you don't want to go to the standard one, just give the URL for prefix for that, essentially, right? So if you, instead of using the property transaction ones, you're just using property as the page name and link, then you can put that there and it will forward instead to the original or standard one, it will forward to that custom page. Okay, the next one we've got, there's actually a couple more. There's another component here that we'll show you, which is called property resource, that you can throw in different places, which will actually pull blog posts and articles that you've posted and listed on your site. You also can put a banner on the site here. In this case, you can change what the banner says, the banner color and font color, and you can opt to use footer colors automatically or not to match those. There's also another component I'm going to show here that's really cool and powerful, and I'm going to just go ahead and go through the process of adding it. We typically will add it for you, and that is adding content management collections here, which is pretty neat. To do that, you go into this menu up here, content management, and now you can start segmenting the content you have in your site or in Salesforce, because you can create all this content directly in Salesforce. You can segment this into collections and topics and different things. And here we already have an REI collection, it looks like, great. And so you can, that's already here. So we could, let's go back and let's go to collections, and you would create a new collection. You could create it from the CRM or just your CMS content. To show you, I'm going to manually, if I want to do it by filter, so anytime something gets added with a certain value, boom, it's going to come into this collection. In this case, I'm going to do let's do blog posts, manually add blog posts, and I'm going to throw these in here. It looks like this one's had recently added, which is fantastic. So that could be added into the site in the footer or in a section somewhere that you'd like to use those. Okay, so that's going to create that collection. And now the collection is going to be available. If I go back to the builder, that collection will become available to add. So if I go into components, content, CMS collection, I can do a single item if I just want like one post to show up somewhere. In this case, I'm just going to throw a collection down here in the footer, and I got to add it, and I'm going to use test. And then I can change the layout, and here we can see it's there, but I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want all of this. I like the banner, but there's lots of different things I can do here to customize this. Collection layout, let's do a carousel. It'll shrink a little bit. Or we can do a strip. And let's do maximum of 3. And then we can change a few other things too. So now what it's gonna want you to do is gonna want you to map these elements, the field mapping. So what's the headline field? So let's put the title in there. Do I have a subheading? You could put a category in there as a subheading. Let's do none on that one. The image, right? So ideally you've added an image to this post, and let's use the banner image. Looks like that one doesn't have one. If you had a video, you could use that, a flag, an eyebrow. That's, I'll just show you what that one is. I think I've got it there. It's going to give you a little bit more information up top. And then what I actually like putting it, I think I usually put it in the subheading excerpt. There we go, perfect. All right, so that's just setting it up, and then you can change the styling. So let's do, let's say 450 is too tall. Let's just shrink these down. They don't need to take a ton of space. Let's just go down. That's too small. Let's do maybe 250. Perfect. Alignment centered, all good. Now there's lots of other things you can do. I can change the coloring, the location, and so that whole repeater essentially is customizable across the board. Lots of things, effects, date stamps, that sort of stuff can be added to. Let me change the collection on this one to REI since that offer instructions is missing an image. There we go. Got a few in here, great. And now that's going to be in my footer anywhere I want to put it. The next one is the footer here itself. So you've got a footer message if you want to add some kind of disclaimer, which is common. The terms and conditions down here. If you want to use a different brand, you can grab a different brand. And I'll walk you through those brands here in a minute. The footer color, background color, if you want to change the background and font color. The social icons, we've got a few different styles, rounded, round, square, round outline. We've got a few different ones, depending on what you like to use. That reminds me, I think we need to update some of these. And then if I want to use the brand colors from the metadata settings, I can do that. You'll see that it overwrites those. We'll just pop those off. Cool, so that's the footer. That'll apply in different places. Let's jump into the next page, which is the property page, which is actually in property transaction. Let's go to the detail, property transaction detail. This is where when they click a property, it's going to bring them here. So you see the header is the same. This section right here is going to pull in the record. You don't have to change this, just leave it. It's going to pull in the record automatically. If this is a retail portal, go ahead and mark that as retail. It customizes, modifies a couple of things. The values it brings in, the data it pulls, that sort of thing. If you want to show the ARV or not, so recent addition, that can be added in, or ARV or CMA right under the price. If you want to allow them to unlock the full address, there's a button there they can click. They have to submit their information, and then the address will show up. If you have a virtual walkthrough, it'll show up as a 360 icon there. If you have additional photo albums, that will show up as an album link as well. You can hide those or show them. This side panel right here, it's got the property features, the offer buttons, and the contact form. If you don't want to show that, you just want the property photos, you can do full size there. The nice thing is these can be moved around and you can tweak them. In fact, this whole page layout, you can change the page layout. So I'll show you. In this case, we're using what's called a flex page. We have different page variations. And with this flex page, if I wanted to, I can change this section to be 3 columns or 5 or whatever. And then I can change that section style, the background color, an image background, an overlay color, the height and width. So there's a good number of settings. So you can kind of morph that page the way you'd like to. Kind of jump out of that, back to this guy. So that's the side panel. The make an offer button, if you want to have your buyers or clients that are coming in be able to submit an offer straight from here. They'll click that button and they submit their information. The offer will sync into Salesforce. Then the show buy now button right here. So if we turn that on and there is a buy now value, you'll see a buy now box there will pop up. The next one is when the offer pops up, we have a disclaimer on it, and maybe we should make this, it'd be nice probably to have this as a text area because it can get long, but there's a text input. You can change that disclaimer if you need to. If you want to show a banner to make sure they know that offer was submitted, you can show that, and then the message you'd like to share, if anything, on that banner. And then down here, we allow you to update this. If you don't want this to say contact team, instead contact me now or something like that, you can change that as well. Now, this will also have an agent icon here. So whoever the listing or real estate or disposition agent is on file, on record. Their photo, which ideally has been made public, I'll show you how to do that too. Their photo would show up right here, and so we'll show you an example of that. And we'll just move this back. And then we have this next showing option right here. And we're not going to see because there's no data in there right now. But you can turn on this little checkbox right there, that if there is a next showing, and you've marked it as public in Salesforce, then that will show the details. And if they check that box, then we add in the note that they're interested in that showing, right? Or open house or whatever it is. So you can track that pretty simply through this form right here, which is nice to have. The next section, and these also pull straight from the record. The next section is your basic, key information, listing details. This comes typically from AI and CRM. It'll be, published for you. We've got a couple of inputs if you want to show this section or not, essentially. And then if you want to have all the boxes open, all the sections open by default, if there's data in them. Property details would be an expansion on this guy, essentially. It would be more details on the property, and then comparables. If you've applied a comp record to the transaction, it'll pull in those comp details, the first 3 static properties basically, and their sale date, size, price per foot, that stuff. This next one is to reach out to the agent. You'll see a picture of the agent and their phone number below, and then this information, this agent contact info, this is changed as well in the CRM, and I will walk us through that too. Again, we want to make sure we choose the brand that we want to have here, and then if you want any custom styling for this card that it's on. The last component we have on here is the map. This one you can actually mask the house number. Most of the time it's going to be masked anyway. You can add a blur to it and allow them to unlock it, similar to above. And then if you want, you can show a street view tab, but not totally necessary because there's already street view there. So we typically just leave it be. Okay, there we go. So that's the map. And then again, we can see the footers here. So this is the property transaction detail page. If we go to property transaction list, this is where we've added the full list that they can filter. We already went through that guy. If we go to locations, we'll see the different locations that you operate in with an image that came from the CRM as well. So these locations are all in Salesforce. You can segment them by county, city, state. You could make rentals, commercial. You can segment them, land, however you'd like to segment them, and they'll split up appropriately. So when they click into one of those, and this guy is real basic. If you want to filter out which locations to show, you can just add that where clause. Thinking like, it's like an SQL query. So where city equals Dallas, whatever, right? Anything, or contains like Dallas, you can do that. The location then has the properties within that location. So if they click the location, they're going to come here. It's got a big kind of banner at the top. It's going to have the featured properties from that location. And then a button that they can click to join the list to say, I'm interested in learning more about these or this location. And we've just got a few things in there. The button label, when that button pops up, they'll have another label, and then the form header on that pop up, and the where clause again if you need to have it there. And then again, the custom property URL. So if they click into one of these properties, it goes back to wherever custom page you've set up for them. All right, so that's the locations. The last one we'll cover, and then we'll jump into the CRM side and walk through what that looks like, is the contact us. Actually, there may be a couple others that we cover. Let's go to the contact us page. So this has that same hero form, only now we've changed what we show. We've added send a message. We do still having it create a lead. You can turn that off and just create a contact if you want. And you can change the lead source too and some other items. Then we have this guy. again, you know, what brand is it coming from? Font and background color. This is a field on that company record, which I'll show you. Where to reach us. So this is real simple. If you want to add the map and location, you can. Font color, background again, the company address, phone number, email. So basic contact. Sometimes you may not want to show those, you know, sites get scraped and then they can bug you. So if you don't want to show those, that's fine. But you know, if it's a generic like this one, then that's pretty useful to have. Okay, two more pages. So this one, lead form, which I'm actually going to edit the settings on this, put a space there. Here, if you want page specific SEO, right here. So you can add additional SEO to any of your pages, the title, the description, and then you can edit header tags. You can actually edit site-wide header tags. This is site-wide CSS. I'm not going to use overrides, but if I were to click into that, it would give me site-wide CSS that I can override. And then there's site-wide header tags. Let's see, where is that? No, where did we put that? Right there, advanced edit header markup, right? So this that looks like some of this actually we will update. We'll come in and update this afternoon, make sure it's correct and all branded appropriately. But that lets you have header tags, you know, your social icons, if it shows up there, what shows up on Google, meta tags, that sort of stuff. Next page, lead form. This one we deploy by default for you, so that if you've got an external team pushing, calling, texting, whatever, and you want them to enter data for you, we have this out of the box website intake form. Takes the intake form that's on typically on the lead record, a little bit of customization so they can plug in data from the portal and it'll push in for you. The next one that we have is the event disposition page. This one also is simple flow page. This one, after an event for acquisitions or a realtor, it could be other users too. After an event, we send them a link and a notification and an email, so an SMS if we've got capacity in the block, you know, if you've got it set up, and an email and a notification to come and tell us how that appointment went. I'm actually going to update this one. And throw this here. Throw it there. Throw, maybe, there we go. Got it. And tell us how that appointment went. That'll give you, you know, your appointment outcome options, obstacles they're facing, and the ability to add notes. And it'll create a note and attach it to the record. So this is really nice because sometimes you got to meet your agents where they are. You got to make it easier for them. So sending it out, letting them put it in, you know, getting them where they're at, which can help just capturing data. Okay, I'm going to undo a couple of things, so don't mind me. This one, we wanted locations removed, no problem. This banner we want there, but we want to, I'm going to change that color real quick. Make sure I grab the right one here. OB1849, okay. That was probably a 0. Perfect, that looks better. And we're going to review a couple of things such as how to change that phone number. And then we're going to remove these because they weren't here. And let me go back to the home page. Okay, that looks right. And let me publish this. So now I can publish it and I can go check out the site. Oops. I think I've got it open here. There we go. Let's go home. There we go. It's going to update for me. Current inventory. Looks right. Let me go to this guy. There it goes. Available. Photos will come in. There it goes. So here we can see a couple of things I wanted to point out here. Here's the property header. Price, Bed Bath. value if it's published, and this partial address, we don't expose the whole thing. And then property features, here you can see the listing agent here, disposition agent photo that's been made public. If they want to request information on it, and if they're interested in the next showing. And it looks like this says MST, so we better make sure that the user that's publishing this is in the right time zone, so we'll just update that. Photos are here, no photo album link added into CRM, and no virtual showing, so those aren't there. Key information section here. Property details, comparables, none added on this one. And then here's again the agent, their number, the click function, and let me make sure that's gonna be the right one. I'm gonna update that one. And then this is the disclaimer there and the map. All right, so let me run into the org and show you where some of those things live. Most of it is in companies. Let's go to the main company we were using. You'll notice this brand we have identified as the primary brand, the acquisition brand, and the dispo brand. You could have separate ones. There's brokerage there too. It's common to have separate brands and logos and colors, and so it's pretty dynamic to that. So if I want to change the phone number, it's right here. That's the company number that I want to use. I can change that right there. The company address, email, this all on the site. Logo, colors. If I need to change that message next to the agent, that can be updated right here. Right, and then the contact us HTML section that we saw, that's available right here. So we can just change those quickly on this record or any of them, and it will push over to the site for us. Let's see, a couple of other things that we covered that would be useful to show. If I'm on a property transaction, you can see I'm here on this one, and it trims the address because, let me show you why. Salesforce by default puts the record name in the URL. So if you're trying to trim out the numbers so that someone doesn't potentially come and try and steal that opportunity from you, then we have to trim that down until it's closed and it can come back. We do have the property available and the address elsewhere. It's just the record name there. So in this disposition tab that we're on here, we can see we're in this what we call a one-pager. A couple of things to notice. Property heading, listing status, terms, suggested sale price, ARV, all of that publishes straight to the site. Thumbnail photos, all of those publish straight to the site. I can preview that site from right here. So I can say, yep, okay, let's just make sure I've got what I need. Good. The thumbnail that I'm seeing in this site, the photos that I've got in there are good. Property details that are gonna publish to it. Showing information, I'll just put this in edit mode. So we can see I've got a showing or an open house, whatever, and some details, a date and time here, and then I've got this make showing public here. And so by clicking that make showing public, it's allowing this to publish here. If I turn that off, that will disappear, this one. And then here's the key information section that we saw. That can be generated through AI, or you can put your own, tweak it, whatever you need to do. Okay, good. So that is, I think, everything we needed to cover. One other thing I will go back to, markets. All of the markets come from this guy. Right? Here's the photos. So you can add and update markets from here. You can change the photos from here. You can deactivate them from here so they don't show up. And then let's go into the last thing is the CMS, content management. If we go into CMS workspaces, you'll have a workspace for that site. And within that workspace, you'll have your content, blog posts and articles and news items and whatever else you want to put in there. All right, so we're going to go into this one. We can see a few items have been added. We've got some image content, some blog post content, and then I can add additional things if I want, carousel image, etc. So and you can create custom content types too. But that is, in a nutshell, really beginning to end Disposition Portal or Listing Portal, as well as if you want to build an acquisition site, you've got the same elements available. Where the data comes from, how to modify it, and how to get it going. We do all that for you up front. We put in content, we change branding, we get you all set up and squared away. But inevitably, if you want to make some changes, we want to make sure you're empowered to do that. So thanks again for joining. Sorry this was a little longer than I was hoping for, but I tried to be as thorough as possible. Again, I'm Chris Young with 80/20. Thanks for being a part of the family. We'll talk to you soon.